Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Virche Epic Lycoris. And I already started to record this, but the bird was being a fucking asshole, and then I couldn't get him to go downstairs, and he was being a dick, and now I gotta start over because, like, it was just me fighting with the asshole to get him to go downstairs. And I'm like, you know what? No, I just gotta fucking start over, so. Oh my god, I was like 20 minutes in too, but I was like, no, we can't deal with me fighting with the asshole. So, like, he was just being such a pain in the ass, biting and being mean and fidgety, and it was like, just go downstairs, and then he refused to go, and I'm just me chasing him around the house trying to get him to go downstairs, because he doesn't want to go downstairs, so he's flying away from me, and he's flying, and then he's climbing on my shoulder, and he's like, no, I don't wanna, and it was like, yeah, so it was like a 5-minute ordeal trying to get the bird downstairs. I'm like, I'm just gonna freaking start this part over, but anyway. Eve's back to life, yada yada, whatever. Oh, my motivation is not here right now because of all the shenanigans with the bird, and I'm also just, I don't know what the hell they're doing now with this. Like, okay, Eve came back to life, and I keep wondering, like, how are they gonna keep dragging this out, you know? So, I don't know. I'm back in that mode of like, we were doing good, we were having fun, but now we're back in the, like, we're gonna be here doing what and for what reason? Because, like, I don't trust the game, you know what I mean? And I don't trust them to, like, I don't know. Anyway. It looks like you've fully regained your consciousness, so I'm leaving. Talk to Dahut for more information. Just as Cyan left through the door, in came... Eve! Speezy! I'm glad to see you two are safe. Dahut pranced into the room with a tea set in hand while his white lab coat dragged behind him. Dahut! It's been a while. I'm glad to see you're safe, too. I was worried something bad might have happened to you for siding with us. Thanks to everyone, I'm blame-free. Or maybe it's Cyan's been so holed up in his office he just swept everything under the rug. At first I thought he was depressed, but it turns out he was actually working on the antidote that saved you. That saved me? Eve had a perplexed look on his face, hearing the way Dahut put it. Eve, is there a problem? Yeah, it's not like I don't appreciate what he did, but I don't believe Cyan would go to the trouble of developing an antidote just for my sake. Yeah, I totally agree, Eve. Seems like you're more forthright than ever. Let's just say there's a lot that's happened between me and Cyan. Eve smiled vaguely, perhaps unable to make peace with this turn of events. In the meantime, Dahut propped up a folding table and set down some cups for us to use. After carefully pouring hot tea into them, he looked over at Unko. And now then, I should explain to you what happened after the incident. While gracefully sipping tea, Unko took over for Dahut in explaining what had happened until now. Sometime after you went into hiding in the cave, I decided to pay a visit to Cyan Brophy's to offer him a certain contract. I used my greatest weapon, in other words, the only means to defeat the toxin causing this so-called curse. I offered him the antibodies I possess from consuming Lycorises for ages, in exchange for his saving you two. Cyan Brophy's accepted my offer and focused on creating the antidote. He was successfully able to complete a prototype before you two passed away, and here we are now. So, like, Cyan didn't do it for you, he did it because he was coerced in a way. Well, not really. He was like, I'll give you the antidote, but you gotta save my friends. And he was like, fine, I guess, whatever. So, does that mean that the toxins can be removed now that he has the antibodies? I recall Cyan saying before that he'd be able to find a cure in a year once he returned to being a god. Perhaps if he were indeed a god, but he's not one now. He has become human, so his abilities are yet unknown. Frankly, I am uncertain whether this antidote will be fully realized. Unko is basically telling us that we shouldn't celebrate just yet. I, for one, want Cyan to find a way to fully get rid of the curse, but He has a lot of things to take care of, and I haven't heard him setting up. And I haven't heard of him setting up a research team to tackle the toxins. That said, I also don't see him showing any interest in fixing the now broken reliver technology. As it stands, we have a skeleton crew man in the reliver process with a few devices remaining. Maybe that has something to do with why he saved me. Well, who really knows? He hasn't told me much of anything. Then again, if he talks, it's gonna come after putting together data from the prototype. Until then, you two just sit tight and relax. You've still got lots of recovering to do. We have the place closed off to the general public now, so don't worry about anyone breaking in to attack you. It seems the deputy director himself will look after your physical condition. Why not take advantage of his hospitality? I agree. Eve just woke up, so he needs to get some rest. Yeah, I need to recover so I have the strength to find out what science really after. I hope that doesn't take us 4 hours to figure out. All I'm saying is like, we got to the point where we're like, okay, we're doing good. And then they are doing this, and you're like, but what's the point of this? There might be a point, but at the moment, I think I'm just disillusioned. It's like, it happens so fast with this game. But I think it's because, like, when I record, like, 9 Rip, right? Which is the game I'm playing in tandem with this right now, in case you're watching this, like, a year later. It makes no difference to you. But, like, I could play, like, 4 or 5 hours of that at a time. You know? I'm like, having fun! This one, it's like, there's so much going on, and it's so heavy, weighted on your mind and your heart and your soul, that, like, after, like, an hour or two, you're like, oh, I'm exhausted. You know what I mean? Even though it's like, I've been having fun with the game for the most part, but it just gets so, it feels like so much that then you get to the point and you're like, okay, why are we still doing this? I think that's what it is. Like, I only recorded the last hour before this. That's it. But already in this part, I'm like, are we really going to do this for drag this out for a couple more hours? And I think it's also just trust issues with the game, because it likes to drag things out and go on, and you're like, and what are we doing and why? And I don't feel it needs to, especially because, okay, the ending title for this is Crimson Lycoris, and we've seen that happen in all of Eve's endings before, and usually that is because one or both of us has to die. So, like, we've been there, done that several times over in the fan disc so far. Right? So I feel like if what they're going to do here is like, okay, and then we're going to be experiments, and then we're doing this, and then the next day, and then a month later, and then 3 weeks later, and then 2 years later, and we're going to keep doing, like, you already went through all that detail in all the other endings. We don't need to drag this out. You could just kind of condense it more. Like, right now, it's fine, because, like, okay, we got the explanation, backstory, Eve's fine. But let's not drag this fucking out for 2-3 more hours of just being experiments, and then the next day we were because it's like, we don't need that. We've already done this. And that's what I'm concerned about, I think, right now. I'm like, I'm concerned you're just going to try to drag this out and milk it, and it's like, you really, I mean, I get it on one hand. Hey, it takes like 60 plus hours to play a game that you paid $60 for. Awesome! You know what I mean? But also, it's like, but half of that time is repeating things from the first game, or repeating things over and over and over and over and over and over and over that are unnecessary, that kind of make it feel like a slog at times. And I don't really think that. I would rather you take some of that out and make it less lengthy, because then it would feel more worth it. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's really unfair judgment at the moment, because I'm just a little irritable at the moment and having trust issues with the game and annoyed with the bird. So like, I'm taking it out on the game, but I'm also like, are we really going to go through and do the same thing where we're an experiment over and over again? Like, I don't know if I trust it. And they could just wrap this up in like 15 fucking minutes. We could be done in 30 minutes for all I know. But I just don't trust the game the way it's been doing it. So now I'm kind of questioning, like, okay, we've been doing good so far. How are you going to ruin it? You know? I don't know. Anyway, I'm late, Spacey. Eve? Whoa, I've never seen anyone cough up so much blood before. My. It seems you're still dull to the needs of your body, even after being able to feel pain again. Uncle encouraged Eve to calm down and returned him to the bed. By the way, this is a special room used to quarantine sick people and specimens. On the shelf over there, you'll find medicine and other things, so feel free to use them. I'll have Mathis bring you a change of clothes from the orphanage later, Spacey. Thank you for everything, Dahut. I'll be sure to return the favor one day. I hope Cyan's experiments go so well we can get rid of the curse. And again, it's the experiment part, you know what I mean? Like, yep, and without sacrificing anyone. Yeah, I hope so, because we've been there, done that multiple times, so let's not do that anymore. Also, even if we're gonna, we're gonna help with the experiments or whatever, can we kind of gloss over that a little? Because we don't need to spend 2 hours on it, because we've spent, what, 9 hours on this so far? You know what I mean? We've done that enough in all of his endings that I don't think we really need to spend too much time on it in this one, you know? But I'm worried that they will. I don't wish to further interrupt a couple's reunion, so I will take my leave. May you have sweet dreams to ease your suffering. I will come again tomorrow. Yes, good night. We thanked the two of them and watched as they departed the room. In the room were me and Eve, who had had a miraculous recovery. As I wondered what I should say to him, "Come here, Spacey," Eve said the words I wanted to hear. Now that we were in private, my relief and joy began to swell, and Eve... I threw myself into his open arms. Eve wasn't able to stand just a few hours ago, but now I felt his strength returning. I'm back. The strength of his embrace told me that he really did return. He was alive. Eve was really alive. And I get that she gets emotional a lot, but the constantly is getting on my nerves. Like, it really is. It was doing it in the last part, to be fair. When she was like, and I was like, oh, here she's going to all of a sudden go, and she did. And it's not even they do it once, they do it repeatedly for like 5 lines, and it's like, girl needs to learn words. Because she's literally just grunting like a cave person who doesn't know language yet. And I get it. It's supposed to be like she's getting emotional, but it's like, sometimes I wish they would just not type anything. I don't know what it is. Guys, I'm really a crotchety bitch right now. I don't fucking know. I felt it in the last part, though. I really did when they were in the cave and she was, and it was like, I'm like, this again. I'm like, I feel like we've read that line 400 times. I feel like half the lines in this game are her making the noise. And I don't know what it is, but it's getting on my nerves now. And I just cannot let it out right now. I can't keep it in. I already read that in the last time I tried to record this, and I was like, it's coming up, and I'm not going to be able to keep my mouth shut this time and pretend it didn't annoy the fuck out of me. Like, it's the scream from Olympia's soiree on repeat over and over and over and over again every time that like the MVP flashback. Like, seriously? This isn't even a flashback. But it's like the fucking most played line here. I swear to God. I was so overcome with emotion that tears began to flow from my eyes. And I mean, I get it. I get exactly why they're doing it. And like, she's overcome with emotion or grief or whatever. But it's like, doesn't stop it from like rubbing on my wrong nerve. You know what I don't know. Oh, God. Oh. I don't think I'm going to be able to record much more than this today. I think it's just, again, like they said, the game just gets so heavy that, like, even when you're having a good time, you're like, just the topics and the weight and the coughing and the squelching and Eve's chunks of flesh falling off that you're like, you know, it's a little overweight. It's a lot. So it's like, you got to take more breaks with this one than you do with other things. Even when you're having a pretty moment, there's still like this weight. There's still like the claws digging into your heart and just dragging it down. Like, yeah, no, you can't be happy. You're never going to be happy. You know what I mean? There's a weight to it that just other games don't have, where you could just play for like hours on end. And this one is one of those you're like, no, I need like an hour or two and I got a break. So it's like, it's so much harder to get through. And not because it's not fun or we're not enjoying it. It's just, it's so angsty. There's just so much to it that like the weight on you is just, you know, I think that's part of it. And I think I really just need to like take more time and only like we record a part of this, and then I go to another, and like, but I'm trying to like finish Eve's stuff up, but like, I don't think it's gonna, so I'm not gonna be getting as much recorded of this as I'd like to in a day, even though I need to get ahead for Christmas, so. Yeah, so I'm just preparing you again, though we might have to go to every other day, and it's going to be because it's very hard to record 3 to 4 hours of this in a day. It's just, again, not because I'm not having fun, it's just, it weighs on you, so it gets harder to do, and after like an hour or two, you're like, I need a nap, you know? It's like, I don't know. Anyway, guys don't notice that because you're only doing an hour a day, but I think if you played it yourself beforehand, I feel like you'd be like, yeah, no, after like a couple, you're like, nah, I need a break. I'm like, but good for you if you could have been like, I was recording. I played like 6, 7, 8 hours at a time. I don't know how you did it, okay? You got more mental stamina than I do right now. I really have none, to be fair, so. Well, welcome back. I spoke with a quiet voice as I held him as close as possible. No one knows what'll happen next, but if you still have a little more time left, please live for as long as possible with the god of death. Please live in this world where the Lycorises you love are in bloom. I'll only to ask the same of you. Eve's lips gently touched my cheek, wet with tears. He then lifted his head to look straight into my eyes. It may have been a dream I had because I wanted it to be true, but I saw Hugo and Adolphe down in Hades. Eve spoke our lost friends' names with joy. I'm glad that a man like you is the guardian of the Lycorises and Spacey. And don't be in a rush to catch up to us with Spacey. Death will find you when it's time. Catch up to us with Spacey. Did I read that right? I don't even know. There you have it. The kind of goodbye you'd expect from them, right? After I died, maybe it was the two of them who managed to kick me out of Hades. Adolphe, Hugo, and see, I already made the choice. So, like, I wish I could see them. I wish I could have seen them, too. There's so much I want to apologize and thank them for. I'll let them know one day. Whether now or in the future, we're all headed for death sooner or later. Those two will probably rise up to heaven, but I'm sure we'll cross paths when that happens. Yeah, I'm sure we will. I'll let them know everything I want to say so that I don't have any regrets. I wiped away my tears and let my bright expression finally come through. The long night was about to end. We would greet a new, unknown morning. Whether we lived or died, no one knew what would happen next, but no matter the outcome, I knew I'd be with Eve until the very end. I believed that with all my heart. And see, that is very, like, end-coded. Not full final end, because they usually take 5 more minutes to say the same thing over and over, but it has a very almost like, oh, finale, and then the next day, and it's like, they have a bad habit of doing this. I knew the first time doing it, it wasn't the end, because it's kind of where I was, because we still have one more choice, but it's like that, but you do this where you have something that's like, we knew that we'll always be together no matter what. The next day, and it's like, you do these things where it feels very end-coded, and then you just keep going, and it's like, that also throws me off in this. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's like, I feel like I'm not vibing with the writing in it this time. I think that's what it is. Like, the way they're structuring it and the way they're writing it is like, I don't know. The next day, we greeted a hectic morning at the Institute where Cyan worked. And it's like, because you're also now, okay, why are we in the Institute? Like, I get why we're here. I know how we got here. But do we need to drag this out? And that's where I feel like we're doing. I can hear the footsteps and voices of the staff around the area. And I haven't felt that way really with Eve until like now. Like the rest of it is like, okay, all right, okay. How are you going to make this okay, so now we're going to do this. And okay. I see what we're doing here. Okay, I'm fine with it. But now that we're here, it's like, you're going to start dragging this out. And I don't know what the point is now. Like, I mean, there'll be a point and the end will probably be good the way Mathis's was. But You're gonna kind of do something where there's just a bunch of shit in the middle that makes no sense. Well, not that it doesn't make sense. It's like it didn't need to be there, you know? In the midst of all this, I woke in the bed I was sharing with Eve. Eve was still asleep, probably because he hadn't fully recovered. I got out of bed carefully so as not to wake him and walked quietly to the door. As I stood in front of it, I found that it wasn't locked, meaning we were free to leave the room. I suppose it means they have no objections if we chose to escape. But if that's the case, why did Cyan bring us here in the first place? As I pondered for a moment, I heard footsteps leaving the crowd and approaching our room. Ah, dear princess, you're awake quite early considering the ordeal you endured. Uncle! Uncle walked in with a folded stack of garments in his arms. Are you helping Cyan with his research? No, I merely came to deliver you these. These are the spares that Mathis Claude brought from your room, and this is for the guardian of the Lycoris. Are these new clothes? Uncle responded with a nod. None here see either of you as threats, and the general public is prohibited from entering or leaving Cernaval. Still, precautions must be taken. Cyan Brophies felt you draw too much attention in foreign attire. He identified it to be clothes from your grandfather as written in his memoirs. I see. Among the guards still stationed here, there may be some remaining who had fought with Eve that night. It seemed like a good idea to blend in so as not to provoke them. You're free to move around so long as you do not enter any of the labs. Really? So it's all right for me to contact Mother at the orphanage and tell Mathis we're safe? I see no problem with that. I'm sure the deputy director will send a messenger at your request. Thank you so much. Let me tell Mathis that we're safe. Mathis knows because he was asked to bring you clothes here. Why wouldn't he? Like, is she an idiot? Does the game think we're idiots? Are we idiots? Is the game an idiot? Like, I can contact Mathis. Mathis knows you're fine, though. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I get it. You want to talk to him, but like, it's like, did I misread that line? Okay, probably. It's probably me. I'm half asleep, to be fair. I could finally reassure the two people who had shed so many tears for us. I feel like when Dahut contacted Mathis to be like, I need you to bring Spacey clothes, like, don't worry, Spacey and whatever. Like, he would have told them, like, so it's not like they're in the dark. Either that or everybody in this game has a really inability, like, they're unable to communicate. They have an inability to communicate, which, to be fair, I don't really think there's been a lot of inability to communicate. We've communicated just fine. You know? I feel like that's one thing I haven't complained about in the game of like, oh my god, just communicate! It's usually like, I have to tell him something, but I don't know yet, and then 2 minutes later you tell him. So that's like one thing I haven't complained about, so Mathis probably already knows, and then when he went to get clothes, he probably told them, they know. I get her wanting to talk to him still, but it's like, I need to let them know we're safe. I think they fucking know that by now. Just saying. Duh. Just as that thought came to mind, I noticed Unco's white lab coat swaying with his movements. Unco, if you don't mind my asking, where are your usual black clothes? These clothes suit you as well, but you seem a bit different. You see. Yay, flashback coon. Nice to meet you, esteemed guest of Cyan. Wearing that long robe around the Institute must be a real drag. Why don't you go ahead and use these instead? Oh, okay, we borrowed clothes from Dahut. Okay. Who is he? He's so young. I don't remember seeing him around Cyan Brophies before. Oh well, I guess he isn't a bad person if he helped save Spacey. Shows how much you know, Onko. Okay, well, like, he's not really a bad person, but he's also the evil mastermind behind all the bad things, so, like, kinda, but also, yeah, but no, but, like, totally get why. I accept with gratitude. Please do wait while I change into these. Dressing like a normie now. You should have put glasses on him while you were at it. Well, you look great. Does it fit all right? Yes, perfectly. I don't suppose you tailored this for me. No, actually, it's the same one Cyan uses. You two are about the same height, so... What in the world were you thinking? Why should I have to wear that man's hand-me-downs? Sorry, but with the Institute still in this state, I wasn't able to order a brand new set. Yeah, so it's not even just his clothes. It's literally science fucking clothes. You are wearing science clothes. but you still look great, even if it's secondhand. For the record, it's practically new since it's been sitting in science office for 60 years. 60? Are you sure there's no mold on this thing? I'm assuming it's just the lab coat, but still. So there you have it. Much to my disdain, I find myself clothed in this attire. It sounded so like Dahut to do that. You've sacrificed so much to offer us support, Anko. The way to turn me into a normal human was likely the antibodies he possessed. I was unsure how the Lycorises gave him antibodies, but it didn't change my great appreciation for him. No amount of thanks is enough, but thank you very much. There's nothing to worry about. Consider this reward for fulfilling our contract and discovering the identity of the curse. That said, we cannot remain complacent until Scion Brothys perfects the antidote. Now, I sense some researchers heading this way. As an outsider, I will excuse myself from here so as not to attract attention. I understand. I'd love to speak to you again when you have the time, Anko. Now, why would you want that? Seeing Anko give a slight tilt of his head, I became a bit flustered. Well, I know we're supposed to be partners, but I feel like we're more than that. Like we've known each other for years. Oh, once again. So I was hoping I could use this opportunity to get to know you better. I'm sorry if that's asking too much. No, not at all. My golden shadow in Anko's crimson eyes grew smaller as his eyes narrowed. He then began to speak in a tone that was lighter than usual. Thank you. Your words are more than enough. I wish that you two do your very best in your journey toward a better future. I wish we could get to our better future. He smiled happily, then walked away down the corridor. I'm just saying, because it's like... After seeing Anko off, I headed back inside the room to find Eve already awake. So these are the clothes Scion prepared for me. Yeah, feels like it's made a very durable fabric. But what left a greater impression on me was... They're black. They're very black. The clothes were dyed black all over. Not just a plain black, though. It's really pretty, with a hue similar to the Lycoris noirs. You're right. I'm glad I can match your family. Well, let me change into them. Could you wait here for me? Does he get 2 new outfits? He got his new robe outfit, and now he gets a new outfit? Sure, please call for me if you have trouble putting it on. I can't wait to see this. This is like the most exciting for me is seeing their new outfits. Eve responded with a yes, then headed into the adjacent room. Mathis didn't get 2 outfits. 15 minutes passed as I waited in anticipation of how Eve would look in the new set of black clothes. The door opened and a dark figure walked in. I turned around to see... You know what? What do you think? Do I have it on right? This is pretty fucking awesome! I dig it! It's got hints of brown and gray in it. It's not just all black, but that's pretty sweet. No, I like it. Nice job. Okay. And I like it because Anko said your grandfather or whatever. He meant Eve, and I was like, that's really a weird way to phrase that, because I think you mean Eve's grandfather or whatever, like probably from the books or whatever. So it's, again, very similar to, the outfit we made him. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I kind of like that. You're getting your ancestry in here, and it's a little fun. But everybody else got 2 outfits. Mathis didn't get 2 fucking new outfits. I only saw that one silver one. What the fuck? And I think Eve's robe counts as an outfit. Although, to be fair, it's not really, because it was, over his nightgown, so, real clothes count. Well, we should have all gotten we all should have gotten a new nightgown. Where's my new outfit? I'm still wearing the same ratty-ass fucking dress I've been wearing for years. Just saying. I mean, her outfit's cute, but still. Just as I had expected... No, beyond what I had expected, he looked exceptionally good in the color of the Lycoris noirs. He looked good in blue, though, too. Wow, It suits you very well, Eve. Look at her getting all flushed, looking all derpy.
Really? That doesn't look sloppy.
And then his hair all long and everything too, like, because it's like in a lower ponytail, so it's like poofed out, and then he's got the like, it actually looks really cute with the hair too. It looks fine to me. No, it looks really good. I think we're all gonna swoon a little. You know, that's all the game needed. You needed to get to this part so we could swoon a little, and then okay, now we're back. Again, I don't know how you're gonna drag this out for another hour or so, but like, hey, you gave him a new outfit, so we're here for it, I guess. Listen, it's simple shit that keeps us happy, okay? Not only does it look nice, it also looks easy to move in. It's well designed, isn't it?
Yeah, I felt that too. It's very sturdy, so I think it was designed to be worn in battle.
He moved around to test out his range.
I feel nostalgic. I like my grandpa's still here. I feel strong just wearing it. Oh, but the clothes you made are nice too, so I'm having a hard time deciding which to wear.
The outfit I made for you is more like a robe for your nightgown. I suppose you'll have to alternate depending on the occasion. Eve nodded happily, then sat down on the bed. It's so funny. It's like, what outfit do I wear? Okay, I know that we're an otome characters / anime characters / cartoon characters, but like, we don't have to pretend that we are only allowed to wear one outfit. Like, Jesus Christ. It's like Scooby-Doo for decades wearing the same damn outfits. Like, but he literally just broke them. Like, I don't know. She's like, you might have to wear them for different occasions. What? You mean people don't wear the same outfit all the time? Considering the fact that we've seen them wear other things, but like, such a random, weird, makes me feel uncomfortable line when they say that. Like, it's like they know. They know they've been wearing the same outfit for years. I quietly sat next to him and leaned against his warm body, and he wrapped his sleeved arms around me. I feel like I'm surrounded by Lycoris noirs.
There's no clothing more appropriate for me to wear as their guardian, but...
With his hand around my shoulder, he pulled me in closer. There's no clothes more appropriate for me to wear, but I'd like to not be wearing any.
I doubt Cyan would have combat-ready clothes prepared for me without realizing it. I have a feeling something will happen sooner or later.
Hopefully sooner. I'm just saying, if we all of a sudden have to have a battle, let's not, let's not drag it out. Let's get going.
He may even have plans to cause this something himself.
I see. I did find it strange that the fabric was so sturdy, but you don't have the strength to fight now, Eve. If something does happen, I don't want you to force yourself. But I doubted that we had any choice in the matter. I know you said you were willing to go to any lengths despite the despair so that we could be together. I know that more than anyone else.
Spacey.
Neither the fire that had scorched his body nor the toxins that consumed him from within would penetrate his soul, which was why, since I know I can't stop you, I want you to keep me by your side at all times. Just like how you never gave up and came to stay by my side until the last moment. This time I want to do my best so that I can always be by your side. I didn't want to be a weak death that only waited for him to come for me. Am I asking too much?
Of course not. In fact, I was just about to say the same thing.
Eve kissed me on the cheek to show that it was a promise.
No matter what the future holds, I promise to take you with me. This'll sound kind of funny after everything, but here's to our future, Spacey.
Right. After a week of Eve being under medical observation, we received approval from Dahut that he could move as he pleased, provided the activity wasn't strenuous. So I mean, like, we just gotta take it easy when we're fooling around? However, being uncertain as to what Cyan was planning, we were unable to take any particular action.
So you're actually living inside the Institute, Unco?
Indeed. After all, there's no telling when Cyan Brophies will ask for more samples from me. I know you can heal yourself, but it does bother me thinking you keep giving him your blood. I had offered Dahud help in cleaning the rooms here. Inside were crates filled with various medicines, and we quickly organized them into the designated order. With a small portable terminal, Unco assisted us in confirming that the work was complete. See, it's like this. It's like, what is the, okay, like, okay, are we getting somewhere? But like now we're like, and then we were cleaning and then we organize. Okay, what's the point of this? Like, it's stuff like this that it's like, I don't see the necessity for scenes like this. Like, I don't know, you know? If no one told us otherwise, you'd look like one of the researchers working here.
That's true. You understood toxins and can even develop antibodies yourself.
Because, like, in the main game, when you're playing it, like, yes, there's a point for this, like, your world building and character building and stuff. This is an after story, so if it's not going to be, like, fluffy fun times, because this is not that game, where you're like, look, it's after this, and we're going to the park, and then we're going here, and then we're having, and you're, like, having little romantic-y dates and stuff, then there should be a point and a purpose, and it should move. But they're like, there's a point and a purpose. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. We'll get there eventually. And they're lollygagging getting there. And it's like, in a game like this, the lollygagging to get there kind of takes you out. Like, I don't know. You're like, okay, hey, we had fun when we had the fashion show. Listen. But now we're like, we're just cleaning and organizing and talking about random. And it's like, is there a purpose to this now? Now I'm back on the, we've been here for almost 40 minutes and we've done literally nothing that serves a purpose. Aside from the fashion show, I'll give them that. But like otherwise it's like, what's the last 40 minutes really been about? Because I feel like we didn't need a majority of it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, smart you are. I have a feeling you make a great researcher, Unco.
Not at all. I am merely a watchman who observes the truths of life and death in this world. Furthermore, unless certain conditions are met, I am limited in my ability to discuss such truths with humans. Now that you mention it, I remember how you were prevented from revealing your identity when we first met. Eve nodded, readily accepting it as fact.
Speaking of which, if we die, there's a chance Uncle will lead us down, right? I'll be looking forward to that time. I'm sure Hades won't be so lonely if we can see you there.
I suspect you two lovebirds could not possibly be lonely if you're together. We chatted as we exited the room to begin our next task. We did stand out somewhat, but many of the researchers here were given leave during the incident. So while we noticed a few ambivalent guards, none were hostile toward us. Or maybe Cyan ordered them to refrain from any aggressive behaviors. As I wondered about it, "Are you sure, Dahut? Really?" "Oh."
"Are you sure, Dahut? Really? Species safe and living in the same place as you?"
"Absolutely. I'd never lie to you, Nadia." At the end of the corridor, I found Dahut speaking into a transmitter. That's Nadia's voice.
It looks like he's using the transmitter to contact her at the hospital.
As we spoke quietly to each other, Dahut took notice and skipped toward us. I could absolutely imagine Dahut skipping. "Hey, guys!" And, like, because he's, like, 15. But, to be fair, he's probably, like, 40 or 50. Or older in a 15-year-old body. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, a 15-year-old acting all kind of cute and skipping after you is kind of... You're like, no, good for you, sweetie. You know what I mean? It's okay to be youthful. You know what I mean? But imagining, like, a 50 to 60-year-old man in the body of a 15-year-old skipping to you, bouncing like a Labradoodle, is kind of fucking even more adorable. You're like, that's just cuter somehow. You know what I mean? You're like, that's just adorable. And then you realize Cyan's probably like 80 in the body of like a 20-year-old, and you're like, and he is just as crotchety as a pissed off 80-year-old. And that's actually kind of funny too. Perfect timing. I was just talking to Nadia about you two. If you don't mind, can you speak to her? I'm sure it'd make her happy. Sure. I was worried about how Nadia was doing too. Even I looked intensely at the transmitter Dahut handed to me. Nadia?
Spacey? Is that really you, Spacey?
I could hear an adorable voice responding with excitement.
Thank goodness. So you were safe just as Dahut said. I haven't heard a thing about you for so long. I was really worried.
Nadia. It had only been a few months, but strangely, I felt as though I hadn't heard from her in ages. Okay, so, like, normally I would be like, what's the point? There is a point to that. We get to make Nadia happy. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. You know what I mean? But every once in a while, they make me, what the fuck? And then we have scenes like this where you're like, okay, this is fine. This is fine. I'm not really, there's no point to what's going, but there's a point. There isn't, but there is. You know what I mean? I'm okay. Like, you know, I just need them to do things like this where we're like, okay, we're talking to Nadia, we're talking to people, we're doing something, as opposed to like, we're talking about how we're cleaning. There's no point to this. We were walking down the hall and then we talked to Nadia. Okay, there's no point to this, but there's absolutely a point at the same time. I don't know how it's feeding into Eve's whole ending, but I'm here for this because we get to talk to Nadia, so like, we're cool with this. You know what I mean? You just need to do more shit like this if you're going to fill in time, you know?
What are you doing? I heard the hospital's been under the Institute's control ever since Capucine was arrested.
I'm doing fine, and my new doctor is really nice. But the other patients don't seem to like the fact that relivers are watching over them. Some of them want Dr. Capucine to come back.
I see. I guess I shouldn't be surprised things are still chaotic after what happened.
True. Many of his patients must still consider him a wonderful doctor since they don't know the crimes he committed. Yeah, he's a psychopath. As Nadia herself had been deceived, her tone sounded perplexed as she responded.
I know Dr. Capucine did something bad, and that's why he was taken away. It's sad, but I can see why it happened. But since then it's been difficult to see my brother. So I've been a little lonely, which is why I'm really happy to hear you two now.
Nadia, I wasn't sure how to respond to her happy voice. I really think Dahood absolutely is also find a cure, find the toxins, and then we're going to figure out Nadia because I need to keep her alive until she's at least like 15, 16, and then we're going to make her reliver. I'll talk her into it, and then I got myself a girlfriend and a wife. Like, I don't think Dahood's feelings for Nadia right now are romantic. He's like, I like her, she's my friend, and she's awesome. But you know in the back of his mind's like, you know what though, but like when she's like my age, maybe wife material. I'm just saying. I ship them. You know, again, she's got to age up because she's like 12. So like she's got a couple more years and then, you know, it's fine. It's still weird because Dahood's like 60 and she's going to be like 15, but like, whatever. In this world, the weirdness of like the age differences, like, this is probably the only like time where a huge age difference isn't as troubling because it's like, Cyan's 80. We're 18. That's disgusting as fuck, but like, he's in a 20-year-old body, so like, what are we going to do about it? You know what I mean? And everybody's like that in this world because they're all relivers, so you really have no idea. When you're like 18 and you meet some 18-year-old dude, you have no fucking idea how he could be 300 inside that. You really don't know anymore. You know? And at that point, it's like, whatever anymore. In reality, though, and in other games where like, I'm 18 and he's 40, it's like, that's disgusting. Stop that. But in this game, I'm 18 and he's 40 in a 20-year-old body. I don't know why it's acceptable. It's because you really have no other choice in this world, right? Like, everyone's going to be like, fuck, like, whatever. And to be fair, your backup, even though you're 80, you're mentally not 80. Because your backup has always been between 20 and 23 years old. Well, unless you're Dahood, you know what I mean? Yeah, he's learned and everything, but he's still kind of a 15-year-old, even though, because he backed himself up and was reborn at 15. So he will always be a little bit of a 15-year-old. You know what I mean? Even though he's probably like been alive or and around in his original body and in his reliver bodies for at least 60 years. He's still really just a 15-year-old in there. You know what I mean? It's not like your brain, like, yeah, you lived another 15 years or 20 years and 30, like whatever, but it's like, you still kind of have the brain chemistry of a 15. So like, is it really? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, I wasn't sure how to respond to her happy voice. It seemed there was information that had been withheld from Nadia. Lucas, who acted as Boro, was currently a fugitive on the run. I heard he had been meeting with her in secret. Considering the strength of his constitution, I was sure that it was easy enough for Lucas to visit Nadia. From the sound of it, the frequency of his visits had dwindled. I love high ponytail on Lucas, I do. Lucas is beautiful, but his route's gonna suck, you know it, because they did not like it. The game hated him. Guilt struck my heart. This was all because I wished for us to live. That wish had now taken away her brother Lucas, as well as her wish for them to live together. Despite that, she didn't reprimand or blame us for what happened.
That's just how important of a friend you are to Nadia.
Noticing my silence, Eve whispered gently into my ear.
You see, I've actually been in frequent contact with Nadia. I mean, we do owe her one since we dragged her into this mess. What's more, I really want to continue the friendship that we nurtured.
You don't need to feel sorry. I want to stay friends with you for as long as possible, Dahut.
See, like, this is a little romance in the making right now. It's adorable.
If you don't mind, please come and visit me at the hospital again, Spacey. I'm sure my dear brother will come by and see us, too.
Yeah, we'll visit when we can.
Unable to give a firm promise, Dahut responded to Nadia's wish with a vague affirmation. Because you know he would absolutely do it if he could.
Please take care, Nadia. Feel free to call us through the transmitter whenever you want. Right, Spacey?
I paused for a moment. Yes, of course. There are a lot of things I want to talk to you about, Nadia. So much has happened since we last saw each other. I nodded firmly in response while feeling a sense of guilt. Nadia went through a lot, thinking and suffering along the way, but even now she was still happy to learn that I was still alive. No matter what, I couldn't refuse her kindness. You can't, because Nadia is the most wholesome thing in this fucking game, let's be real.
Thank you, Spacey. You really are a dear friend to me. Thank you for letting me hear your voice. Let's always be friends, forever and ever.
Nadia responded to me with a bright voice. Nadia then said she should get some rest and quietly turned off her transmitter. I should live like death and be as selfish as possible, right?
Well said.
I didn't choose to live as death without any resolve. I need to feed off the guilt within me and live.
There's no need to feel remorse. Lucas Prowse possesses within his body a very powerful life force. There's a possibility he may live much longer should the antidote be completed. Like he said, I'll check and see where Lucas is and what he's up to.
We didn't have the right to denounce what he did, as we were sinners all the same. But if I could have a wish come true, I wish that his gentle, precious smile would never be clouded again. The next morning, Eve and I were preparing for the day. The plan was for us to help Dahut with his duties again, but...
That's peaceful, but something about this doesn't feel right.
Good. It's all going to come to a conclusion now?
I mean, all we can do is wait for Cyan to act first. Is it really okay for us to not do anything?
I feel the same way, Eve. I'm a bit afraid that my position is starting to become vague. Feels like I'm going to end up being swept along with the flow of things. After agreeing with what I said, Eve thought for a bit, then...
Okay, I made my decision. I'm pretty much recovered now. I'll go and talk to Cyan and question him myself.
He was planning on talking to the very person he once fought against with his life. A bold idea like that's very much like you, Eve. If that's the case, I'll go with you. I need to keep watch so you don't push yourself.
I'm counting on you. After all, I don't stand a chance fighting Cyan right now.
Well, he's only got one arm. Granted, the other one's a robot arm now, so she's probably stronger. Eve and I headed to the front of the laboratory. We didn't have clearance to enter, so we tried talking to him through the door.
Cyan, are you there? There's something important I'd like to...
Before he could finish his sentence, the door opened abruptly.
I guess we can go inside.
I suppose. He spins around in a chair and just putting his fingertips together.
I've been waiting for you.
Eve and I kept our guard up as we entered the laboratory. The room, which was the scene of the intense fight, still showed signs of damage on the walls. But apart from cosmetic flaws, the rest of the laboratory had been repaired and seemed fully operational. We needed the panning around the room. I was like, we're just panning around the room here. We didn't see any of the staff around. Instead, in front of the device used to manufacture relivers were two figures.
I figured you'd be coming.
There stood the former god and master of this laboratory, and the watchman of death with whom he kept a contract. One oversaw life, while the other oversaw death. They seemed similar, but were completely different. Seeing them silently occupying the same room was mysteriously eerie. It's not the first time we've seen them in the same room, though.
They were waiting for us to make a move. I don't have time for cowards.
Which meant he was planning to leave us alone if we didn't take action.
As Cyan Brophies, I suggest you choose your words wisely. You did not invite him to challenge him to another duel, did you?
Alko sighed as he attempted to act as a mediator between Eve and Cyan.
You two have no need to be wary of him, as he's planning on... No. He's going to give you a mission that will clear your path into the future.
Clear our path into the future?
It means exactly that.
Cyan controlled the screen near him to display the entire island of Arpachel in the middle of the room. He slowly crossed his arms and looked at his nemesis.
Eve Noirge, descendant of the Drifter and guardian of the Lycoris that absorbs misfortune. Let me make this very clear. I will have you become a hero that'll save this country.
He said so as if it was something we could not refuse. Did I mention before that the title of this is Crimson Lycoris? So, like, you know, that sounds like a promising ending, because, like, but all the time we've always had crimson things. We've, you know, ended up dead. So, the end. Wow! No, oh, now we're signed. I was like, it took a long time to pop up as anything. All right, so we're getting to where the end, so maybe the next part will be the end. But it still took a long time to get there. Ups and downs. I think there were less moments in this where it was like, they had some, like, what's the point of this? There were a couple scenes that seemed very pointless, but, you know. And also, I mean, I do think they definitely dragged it out more than they really needed to, but whatever.
You two were able to survive because I created the antidote from his antibodies. But to be very blunt, it was not yet ready for completion. No, to be precise, I didn't have the time to be conducting any research. Surely you hadn't already forgotten the reason you were dragged into this commotion. The mysterious deaths, Boro's clandestine maneuvers, the royal family's rampage. Those deaths were connected to Spacey's allelopathy running wild, but... they were hacked. Someone actually deceived me and hacked into the Reliver manufacturing system to gain access to the memory creation process. It was updated to only allow for a certain amount of emotion before crashing. They must have lowered the memory capacity during the production of a previous generation of clones.
The actual trigger was caused by someone who downgraded the memory specifications for many relivers. We also discovered that someone used... Oh, God, I don't know why I was reading that as me instead of Cyan.
I also discovered that someone used the underground passage to orchestrate crimes with the royal family and others. Lordy was among those others. The abducted prostitutes were an unwilling part of his illegal experiments. The same orchestrator also caused the explosion at the Institute during our battle. Considering their radical nature, they'll likely continue to act behind the scenes to obstruct our movements. In order to prevent that from happening...
would ask that you unveil the identity of this supporter.
So that's what you meant by wanting me to be a hero.
Tension filled the air. Were we gonna have to go on a long-ass fucking thing to figure out it's Dahut? Because, like... Or is it gonna end, like... And now we're on the case, a type of a thing. Because, like... I feel like giving us this mission to unmask Dahut's gonna be, like... 6 hour... Like, wait. I thought it was gonna be like, okay, you need... Like, you know, okay, here, go plant these explosives in the field. And then you go off and you kind of drag that off. But, like, you could wrap that up in an hour. No, well, not the same thing. But you know what I mean? Like, do something like that as opposed to, like, go unmask. And it's like, oh, dear God, if we're going to have to try to unmask Dodge, you're going to drag that out for 3 more fucking years. Like, what the? What? You know what I mean? A really weird point to put that in. Tension filled the air. If what science said was true, he certainly couldn't allow the perpetrator to remain at large, but... Aren't you in a better position to question those involved in the incident? Like Orty and the royal family? We still haven't gotten our last choice, though, so, like, Jesus.
The one called Orty was merely used, and due to a physical defect, does not remember the supporter's name or face.
I mean, that's how you cover your tracks.
As for the royal family, any lack of subtlety in interrogating them could lead to large-scale consequences.
Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't care about provoking them, but... The Institute's forces have been decimated by your assault. I wish to avoid conflict with them for now.
He's like, this is all your fault, so you're going to clean up your mess.
Fair. So you're telling me to follow your orders to make up for what I've done?
I have a few other pawns at my disposal. Once this is resolved, I'll be able to use the antibodies you possess to create the antidotes. Then I'll officially proclaim you to be the country's hero who saved us from the curse.
He went on to say that no one would ever call us Death and a demon anymore. Cyan was offering us a reward that would clear our names. You have a year to do it.
What do you think, Spacey?
Well, here we go. This is our last choice. We're going to support Eve's decision. Pretty sure that was the right answer. Yes. The culprit was behind the memory crashes that killed those in love. Are we going to flash back to Hugo's body? Yup. There you go. This is the MVP flashback of Eve's route. All of it. I was similar in the sense... I was similar in the sense that we were both Hugo's enemies. It's a very... What? I don't have the right to blame this supporter, but... You have the right to do so, Eve. I'll support whatever decision you choose to make.
Understood.
He nodded quietly, then turned his attention to Cyan.
Please give me some time to think. I'll give you my answer by tomorrow morning.
That's fine.
You're free to choose however you like. A fallen god has no right to give you orders. I will support whatever decision you make.
Anko stressed the fallen part, and Cyan gave a contemptuous scoff.
Thanks, Uncle. We'll take that into consideration during our discussion. We'll make sure we won't regret our decision in the end.
It was late at night. The Institute, which had once been plunged into chaos, was now dark and silent. It was the perfect time for us to have our discussion.
Well, I did tell Cyan we'd come to a decision by tomorrow.
We both sat on the bed and discussed in detail how we should approach the final threat that remained. The person responsible for involving the royal family and Orty in those mysterious deaths. I wonder who and what kind of person they are.
At the very least, they must be smart causing all this destruction without revealing their identity to Cyan. What that means is they may cause another incident if we were to leave them be.
Silence fell over us. The once altruistic Eve would have chosen to help capture the supporter without a second thought, but...
I don't think I can ever forgive Cyan for killing Adolphe and Hugo. Still, regardless, we did turn our backs on the country and became demons.
To be fair, it wasn't Cyan's fault that Hugo died if someone hacked into the memory system. Cyan didn't know. Although, like, but, you know, okay, whatever. He's thinking, he's not checking it to realize that, you know what I mean? So it's not really Cyan's fault that Hugo died. It's whoever hacked into the system and fucked up the memory that killed Hugo, to be fair. Him being the result of Adolphe dying, sure, you can blame him for that, but you can't really blame him for Hugo. Listen. I'm gonna try to defend my fucking Cyan baby as much as possible. But, like, you can't really blame him for, it's not really his fault that Hugo died. It's not. It's like blaming me. It's not really my fault. Technically your fault, Eve, because he was so madly in love with you. So you can blame yourself for this. Anyway.
Still, regardless. Okay, I read that already. I have no responsibility or right to save it.
Eve sighed as though he didn't believe what he himself said.
I just want to live with you. It's not like I actually want to cause harm to anyone else.
I feel the same way. Still, what if this supporter actually causes another riot, or maybe even recognizes us? Well, we know he does. Wouldn't that mean we would lose the life we made with each other?
Yeah, I don't want that to happen either. Meaning, I only have one choice.
He brought his hands up to his cheeks and proceeded to slap them, as if to force himself to agree with his decision.
Even if we do save the country, we'll still have to live together on our own. In fact, we'll have more time to live while suffering. Let's push through and prepare ourselves to live through everything. I'm not giving up. I gave you that bouquet so we could continue to live.
So I'm guessing we're gonna go try to find Dahut and figure it out. But yeah, because he's just said, well, but I just don't know how. Okay. Is it gonna be they're gonna end it and be like, so we worked together to find and we haven't found them yet, but one of these days we will? I really don't know. But anyway, we'll find out if this is gonna go even longer. Like, I figured we'd get our end. Honestly, I'm surprised we're still going with this. And now it just seems like they're setting up a whole new plot train that they could go on with for 2-3 more hours. And it's like, what is going on? I don't know. I mean, at least they're keeping it interesting, but it is like they're definitely trying to drag it out. And I'm not, like, sure I'm 100% with it, but hey, okay, it is what it is. So we'll see if the next part, if they just wrap it up really fast or if they drag it out for a couple more hours. But I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.